Hi guys, welcome back to Vedic Astrology. Today I'm presenting to you the 2026 annual predictions, and this video is being prepared for the sign of Aries. Now you guys can watch this video both from an Aries rising as well as Aries moon sign perspective. Of course, from an Aries moon sign standpoint, the important thing to note is that Aries moon is also undergoing Sade Sati. So the impact of Sade Sati is also going to be crucial and it is going to come into picture. Now, 2026 is going to be an year where you guys are going to be finding divine peace in the middle of a karmic storm. Why do I say that? Well, Saturn is placed in the sign of Pisces for you, whilst Jupiter will be coming in its sign of exaltation in your fourth house. And therefore, this year is going to bring that level of karmic shift as I can see here in your chart as well. First and foremost, let's look into the kind of impact or broad transits that are going to be coming into the picture for the year of 2026. Number one, what we notice is that Saturn is not going to be making any transit. Yes, he will become retrograded in the second half of the year, but for the majority time of the period, he is going to be direct until July, becomes retrograded from July to December, and in fact, end of the year, it will become direct again in the sign of Pisces itself. Now, there will be some nakshatra movements, pada movements, which we are going to be capturing through the course of the months when we do our monthly readings. Then, Jupiter is going to be making some interesting transits. It is starting at the start of the year in a retrograde position in the sign of Gemini itself. And then it will transit on 2nd of June into its point of exaltation in Cancer. Now, of course, there was a flavor, a trailer of sorts that you guys had seen in terms of its movement in the last part of 2025, but a broader perspective is what you're going to see through the course of the year. But again, Jupiter being an Atichari movement is going to be showing its transit into the sign of Leo as well for you guys. And he will do that on 31st of October. We are going to touch upon and understand what's going to mean for you guys. Last but not the least, the big nodal shift of Rahu and Ketu is going to come into picture at the end of the year in December, where Rahu is going to move away from the sign of Aquarius into the sign of Capricorn, as Ketu will move from the sign of Leo into the sign of Cancer. Now, apart from these two major transits of Jupiter and Rahu in Ketu, rest of all the planets will be making their monthly or occasional transits coming into picture. Like Sun will be transiting all across the zodiac every month. Moon, of course, transits every 2.5 days, and so on and so forth. Without further ado, let's try and understand, guys, that what is going to be some of the notable impacts that are going to come into picture for this year for you guys. The way I've constructed this video is I've broken it down into the 4 quarters because we will be doing detailed analysis of monthly readings as we move forward. To begin with, in the first quarter of the year, which is Jan, Feb, and March period, well, I will call this as the career rocket launch. Why? Because a lot of your planetary positions, be it Venus, Sun, Mercury, your ruler Mars, will be starting the year in its sign of exaltation itself in your 10th house. You have to understand when Mars is in the 10th house, your Lagna Lord, there is going to be an extensive focus in the first quarter from your side to bring highest amount of effort, capabilities, karma into picture. Now, of course, I've called out career as the focus, but irrespective of the background, irrespective of the sphere of life you're coming through, is you are going to be putting enormous amount of effort from your side to make things happen. Mars positioned in your 10th house will be giving its aspects 4th, 7th, and 8th towards your Lavana, your 4th house, and your 5th house. You see how your 4th house is also getting activated right from the start of the year. And this means that somewhere or the other, a lot of you Aries who've been trying to notice some pivotal shift coming in your career is definitely anticipated. It's not just Mars, but you also have the presence of Sun, Mercury, Venus coming into your 10th house as well. So thereby, when it comes to your own efforts, your own karma, transformation, shift, redefining of your karmas, probably even gauging your strength areas and weakened areas is going to be a revelation for you in the first quarter itself. Venus happens to be the lord of your second house and your seventh house. And thereby, you will notice that this first quarter will also entail you bringing your spouse, your partnerships, your relationships, your family, all engulfed and engaged towards your karma. You are going to see a lot of action in terms of you putting in efforts for your work life or putting in your efforts towards your family, towards your partner, towards your partnerships. It is promising to be a great start of the year in the month of January itself. You have to note that from 16th of January till Feb 23rd, Mars will remain in an exalted position for you guys. Then Mars will be moving further into the sign of Aquarius, into the house of gains. And thereby, your efforts through the course of this period also be resulting into the rewards that you could reap as time progresses. Of course, you have to keep a note of all the aspects of Mars coming into picture throughout. Whilst that is happening between Feb 3rd and 26th, you will be noticing that this career effort, karma, effort that you are putting in your day to day walk of life, any kind of new learnings that you are immersing yourself in, any kind of research that you get into, it will be helping you to reap the rewards that you've been eyeing for. Aries, whilst it has been a difficult start, especially for an Aries moon, I'm calling out from a Sade Sati perspective, you will automatically start noticing some bit of reward. In fact, Saturn expects you to put your best foot forward when it comes to your karma. And the start of 2026 itself, with the planetary alignment from the transits, is giving you that promise. It's giving you that chance, that opportunity to make sure that whatever has been undone, efforts that have not been accomplished. Why? Because Jupiter is also sitting retrograded. It is going to be moving back into the sign of Gemini and going to remain retrograded in that house for a while in your third house itself. So, whatever efforts, karma, relationships have been seeing some bit of an indiscipline, outcomes not panning out as you would have decided, they will start seeing a shift thanks to the impact that Mars is delivering for you here. You have to also understand Jupiter will also become direct in the sign of Gemini on March 11th itself, which means that your courage, communication, your relationships with your siblings, your neighbors, and your community, all of that is going to see a positive shift. Communication becomes extremely important. I've been talking about the shift of Mercury as well, and he's the Lord of the third house, he's the Lord of the sixth house as well for you folks. So that becomes a very crucial aspect that you'll have to take a note of. However, I do see a lot of positive impact, new job related opportunities, new career opportunities in terms of business associations, new partners walking into your life, you starting something from scratch, or bringing some past engagements to a closure and then making new initiatives in this phase is going to be primary call out for you. Now, Aries, you have to also understand that somewhere around March 20th, 21st, Mercury will also turn a direct in the sign of Aquarius itself. And this means any kind of financial delays that you have been facing, apart from the effort, apart from the hard work that you've been putting in during the Jan and Feb month period, it will start accumulating down in the month of March if things have not panned out for you so far and so forth. You must be, watchful of the fact that there are multiple planetary positions, transits happening in the right side of your chart itself in your 10th and your 12th house later that we'll discuss. Now, important bit for you to notice that any kind of social delays, collaborations with your network, with your friends, with social media engagements also come into picture. You might find people who are into, Instagram, YouTube, or any social media related businesses. You are in a sales role where you collaborate with people on LinkedIn. There could be initial bit of hurdles that might come into picture for you guys. However, by the end of the quarter, by March, a lot of those stuck up activities will start panning out for you. Mercury is also the lord of your sixth house. So remember, whilst your Lagna lord is providing ample support, Mercury's direct approach also help people who are looking for new kind of job opportunities, career opportunities, any kind of health related issues, loans and litigations that you are struggling with. Well, you can see a lot of relief coming for you down during this period itself. As we move further, I would want to call out that Saturn remains stationed in your 12th house, from where he will be giving aspects toward your second, sixth, and ninth house. So, when you are trying to negotiate any kind of difficult situations when it comes to, say, legal matters, litigation, loan related affairs, and very importantly, your day to day rhythm at your workplace, please be watchful on your communication. Do not take unnecessary matters blown out of proportion. If you are going to bring in some degree of patience and perseverance, you will realize that the difficult situations will automatically fizzle out. And therefore, especially for people undergoing Sadesati, which is for Aries moon, it is prudent that you keep a check on your expressions. You keep a check on how you are sharing your thought process with your near and dear ones, more importantly, with your colleagues, with your peers, your competitors in the marketplace. As you move further, we notice that in the second quarter of the year, which is for April, May, and June period, we realize that this is going to be a turning point where your personal energy is going to see returns. And somewhere it would feel as if the universe is conspiring to bring things towards your home, towards your heart. The fourth house aspect or the fourth house is going to become extremely crucial for you folks during this point in time. Now, in the first phase that I've broken down around April 14th to May 15th, Sun, that happens to be your fifth lord, it will be entering into the sign of exaltation in Aries. And that is crucial because it is going to be coming in your Lagna, in your first house. If you're watching from an Aries moon sign standpoint as well, it is going to be very enabling period for you folks because now you feel that self confidence, that charisma, that power exuding out of you. You will be able to express yourself confidently. Whatever fears that you had deep down within you, you would be able to overcome those fears, those challenges as well. But remember, folks, as Sun remains exalted, he is giving a debilitated aspect towards the seventh house. So you must remember this word of caution that in this phase, you must not come across too arrogant to your spouse, to your business partner, your colleagues, because or the outer world in general, because seventh house is everything opposite to you. And that is the risk that you carry in this period because there could be a lot of suppressing feeling or frustration be- because you might not have reacted to people around you. You might have just kept your heads down, focused with full energies during that beautiful transit of Mars from its exaltation to Aquarius in the house of gains. But when Sun is coming into this, the first house in its exaltation, you might become overtly egotistical as well. And that is the only caveat that I would want to call out for you. Between May 11th to June 21, your lug ruler Mars is going to be transiting into its own sign, Aries. Now, this is going to be a period where you are going to be brimming full of energy. I want to highlight Sun's transit, which I just missed calling out here, guys. Sun, being the fifth lord, is also going to bring a lot of creativity, a lot of new initiatives, startup oriented mindset as well. At the same time, it is also going to enhance your romantic connections. Students who are watching this video also see a lot of positive shift. In fact, for students, the brain part is going to be coming into picture when we talk about transit of Jupiter as well. However, from a fifth house perspective, matters related to your stock market investments, your emotional romantic connection with your loved one, with your better half, your partner, it is going to be spiraling out of proportion. It's going to be at a good, dignity. But that language, that arrogance, or the risk of that arrogance is something that you will have to keep on check. Coming back to the transit of Mars, as I was talking about, Mars will be moving into its own sign of Aries between May 11th and June 21st. And this is also going to be a period where, on around June 2nd, when Jupiter would also be making its transit to its sign of exaltation. Mars sitting in your Lagna is going to be giving an aspect towards your fourth house, seventh house, and eighth house. This is definitely a great period for people who are looking forward to learn something new. Jupiter will also get into exaltation, which is the house of knowledge, assets, growth. So, a lot of development, learning, unlearning, reskilling yourself is going to be coming into picture. There's a high probability that whatever karma effort that you've been putting in, you will be now positioned in a new place, in a new sphere, in a new, facade altogether. And under such circumstances, you will have to revive yourself to make sure that you are able to establish in this new role and in this new position. Mars is also giving an aspect towards your fourth house. Yes, it's an debilitated aspect. It becomes a very crucial point of time where many of you could embark upon making some kind of asset purchase, some kind of sudden shift in terms of your maternal or paternal property could also come into picture. You might be looking forward for some sale of property sale or find certain gains. Suddenly, out of nowhere, that shift will could come into picture during this phase itself. However, this might not be the best time for people to get into marital relationship or start new relationships altogether, because Mangal dosha is definitely going to be established at this point, as well as when Mars was in your 12th house prior to this period. So you'll have to be watchful on that front as well. But in a way, you could feel that phoenix rising as if a new, birth in itself has come, because the eighth lord is also in the Lagna. So there has to be a positive impact given that Mars is your Lagna lord. I do not anticipate any negative activities out of it. You have to understand that this is going to be a period where you focus towards your health, towards your vitality. You would be brimming with energy, and this is going to be a fabulous period for you to hit the gym, lift some steel, work out, and that could be very transformative as well as regenerating for you folks. Then, from June 2nd, the biggest or the most crucial event of the year is coming into picture. Jupiter is coming into exaltation in the sign of Cancer. Jupiter is going to be, showering all of its blessings during this period, and it is going to be stationed here till October 2nd. In a way, I would say that you are under divine prediction. Now, I had, you know, called out at the start of the video itself that this is going to be a year where you are going to be almost like relaunching yourself. You are going to be getting some divine blessings through the course of this period, or finding that mental fortress into play. And Jupiter is promising that. Number one, this is going to be an extraordinary period for you to purchase an asset, a movable, immovable property, especially when Mars is also giving an aspect and Jupiter is stationed here. This is going to be a time when many of you could start planning or make certain movement towards purchasing a new property, a new vehicle. Often, renovate your existing house, your apartment, your warehouse, your office space as well. But I would see this more from a dwelling perspective where you reside. Now, this is also going to be a period where your mother, your emotions, or your connection, your relationship with your mother is also going to see a lot of healing. There could be some specific benediction, support, guidance, love, or even an inheritance kind of a situation could come in from your maternal side. Why do I say that? Because Jupiter and its exaltation is giving an aspect into the sign of Scorpio in your eighth house. It's giving a debilitated aspect towards your 10th. I'm not too afraid about it. And it's also giving an aspect to Saturn in the sign of Pisces into the 12th house itself. And therefore, whilst there could be an interest in terms of material gains, there will be a definite increase in spirituality. self elevation that could come into picture once Jupiter is moving into this house. You will find yourself in absolute peace. And Aries, I'm sort of feeling jealous with you folks because a lot of times, when we undergo Sade Sati, especially when the first phase is at its onset, we realize it is a drastic shift in our lives. And for you guys, this benediction from God is coming into play because Jupiter's exaltation is going to sort of bring a significant amount of relief during this period as well. Now, as we move further between June 8th to July 4th, you will notice that Venus also joins the party and it will also be getting into the sign of Cancer. Venus coming into Cancer, more importantly, in the fourth house, is not at all a bad thing. Its conjunction with Jupiter is called as Kuber Yoga in itself. But this is going to be a time of pure domestic bliss for you folks. As I said, it could elevate your assets, it could bring in some degree of luxurious experience, something that brings abundance. You might want to treat yourself. Jupiter definitely brings abundance, but Venus coupled with it brings enjoyment of that abundance. And that's a beauty coming into picture for that roughly 1 month duration where you, along with your family, would be enjoying all the comforts and luxuries of life. Remember, this is transit reading, and therefore your natal chart, natal dasha antardasha also holds very important. As we move further, we realize that the key impact coming in the month or in the second quarter for you folks will be around your personal health. As I said, Mars is coming into your lagna, vitality, health, learning new stuff, regenerating yourself, reskilling yourself, repivoting yourself in the modern landscape is going to be one takeaway. Number two, this is going to be a period where you should be able to expand on your assets, buy new property, movable, immovable assets, maybe a car, a bike, or an asset in the form of a real estate could come into picture. This is also going to be a period where you are going to see a lot of comfort in terms of emotion and mental peace and general well-being along with your family. From a Sade Sati perspective, I would highlight that this is going to be a period because of Jupiter's blessings where you will see diminished impact of the negativities that one can imagine with Saturn's impact. As we move further now in the third quarter of the year, this is going to be a period where you will see a home and mind stress test. Now, why do I say that? See, this is now a period that you will find a new foundation, a new, starting point. Jupiter is already stationed in your fourth house from July 7th to August 5th. What you are going to notice is that Mercury is going to be becoming retrograde and it is going to move back into your third house of communication. Now, of course, in the screenshot that I've shared with you guys, I have represented the major planets, which is Jupiter's move, Saturn, Rahu, and Ketu. And because all the other planets are making multiple movements through the course of the year, that is not captured. But I am sharing that with the transit list that I've prepared for myself so that I could refer easily for your timelines. So Mercury is going to be getting retrograded in your third house, and this is where you will have to be extremely watchful that you are using the right choice of words. Your communication is not creating any kind of a ruckus at your workplace, especially from a professional written as well as both oral communication standpoint. And this is going to also be a period where you must be careful of any kind of decision making, any kind of paperwork. Whilst Jupiter is giving you that abundance, that positivity of luck along with Venus, you must be careful that if any kind of new legal matters, new documentation that you are getting into, you must check and recheck that situation for yourself. This is also going to be a period where there could be certain degrees of struggles that might come into your siblings' life. People who are in any kind of hobbies that involve you know communication with long distances, or people who are in communication medium like YouTube itself, here, well, you will have to be a little disciplined in your approach. Monitor that situation carefully. This is also going to be a period where you must be looking forward, cleaning up old business before you are ready for anything new. Why do I say that? Because right after that, around the August period, Mercury will become direct again. So this will be a opportunity for you to wind up any kind of legal matters. He is your sixth lord as well. Wind up those, bring them to a positive closure. The same time in this third quarter itself, around 27th of July, Saturn, especially for Aries moon that has been causing Sade Sati period as well, and he's stationed in your 12th house, will now be causing a retrograde position. Now, this is a major internal transit which is coming into picture for Saturn. You will look inwards. Now, I would take a minute to define this thing for Aries moon specifically because you are going to be most impacted by this. Saturn happens to be your 10th and your 11th lord. And he is placed three places away from itself, being the 10th lord, and second to itself, being the 11th lord. So when he becomes retrograded, to a certain degree, it is going to bring you an opportunity to do better. There have been challenges, there could be challenges that could come into picture in your life based on the kind of work that you do. If you are employed somewhere or if you're a student, there could be some kind of a shift that could be coming into picture. But this retrograde, at least for you folks, Aries moon, is going to give an opportunity to, review what has been bothering you, any kind of your hidden fears, anxieties, any self doubt that you've been facing throughout this period. This is going to be a time for you to review it because it will come out on the surface. It might also become very apparent to the people around you, especially at your workplace. And that is why, guys, throughout the last 2 quarters, transit period as well, I continue to highlight that keep a check on your communication. Things will sort out automatically for you. Communication is one thing that you might have to be tad bit more careful about. Now, once Saturn is retrograded, you could feel some bit of a lack of sleep as well. There could be, a loss in your day-to-day regimen, your discipline that Saturn was expecting you to maintain with the onset of Sadasati. In fact, for Aries Lagna, Aries rising people as well, this is something that you could see definitive impact. But at the same time, with your own efforts, the karma that you've been putting in, and the desires, the goals, the wish fulfillment that you guys have been chasing. With this retrograde position, Saturn is going to give you an indicator that yes, I can help you reap some rewards for the next few months, especially for people who are associated with foreign lands, with opportunities associated to import and export, with any kind of connection coming into picture that requires your international travel. And therefore, you must be extremely cognizant on all those matters. Then, as we move further, we see that there is going to be this conflicting situation coming into picture with Mars, who's your Lagna Lord or your Rashi Lord, transiting into the sign of Cancer. Now, Mars coming into the sign of Cancer around September 18th does show that your Lagna Lord is coming into debilitation, but it is one of the most beautiful, amazing Nage Bhanga coming into picture. Mars in the fourth, it's not a great situation to be in. But with that Nich Bhanga happening, the ill effects of Mars could substantially be subdued. You would notice that Mars' presence in the fourth tends to bring that Mangal Dosha into picture. And therefore, a lot of times people tend to get into argumentative situations, into difficult scenarios, you know, frustration at home, argumentative situations with your family member, loss of some kind of breakdown of uh, your equipment or stuff at your home, some sort of a repair required, rebuild required, breaking of things, especially electronic gadgets, electrical equipments at your home. Jupiter's presence is still giving you a positive, insight. What I would suggest, many people would just go ahead and say that this is the best period to buy a property. No, best window is when Mars is in your Lagna or even in your second house. That will be a much better window for you to invest something. And if you still want to purchase something during this phase, during its period of debilitation, I would recommend you to have a second opinion, third opinion in terms of the documents that you are getting into. Some sort of a conflict situation, disturbance can come into picture. And therefore, I would want you guys to remember that third quarter is going to be a period where you have to remember that you have to do some level of introspection. You have to manage your emotional mindfulness, because that could come under test during this debilitation of Mars. Good part is, continue to call out that caveat. Jupiter's presence is going to be a super beneficial factor out here, because it is going to give you that inner strength, that benediction of the Supreme, which is going to help you bounce back from difficult situations as well. Now, the backdrop of this entire thing is that if you are undergoing Sadasati, and of course, if you're watching this from an Aries moon perspective, debilitation of Mars in trine with Saturn can be a bit difficult period in terms of argumentative situations coming in. So avoid arguments. And I think I've called this out repeatedly through the course of this video, that communication, especially during the phases of Mercury's retrogression, is going to become crucial, as well as during this phase where you could create difficult situations for yourself, for your family members, in your decision making. After that negative, because of that niche bhanga coming into picture, and it's a proper niche bhanga coming into picture, you will be able to bounce back to. So nothing to be scared about. Keep a look into your dasha to have better clarity as to what is going to be panning out. Now, as we move further, we look into the fourth quarter of the year, which I would call as the great karmic pivot. Now, again, interesting shifts coming in terms of transit here for us. First and foremost, Venus is going to be coming retrograded in the sign of Libra. Now, Venus happens to be your second lord and your seventh lord. Second lord is going 6 places away from itself and it becomes retrograded, and the seventh lord itself is ret. Now, this is not one of the best period for people who are looking forward to get married, or people who are in relationships, who are in marriage, or in legal partnerships, business partnerships as well. There could be certain disruptions, there could be certain negative situations that could come into picture where there is not enough understanding or collaboration, misunderstandings also seeping in with your partners. I would warn you to shy away from any kind of illicit activities, any kind of illegal activities during this phase. Any sort of shortcuts that you would want to embark upon during this phase can result into losses as well. Now, I keep on repeating on my channel that when benefic planets like a Jupiter or a Venus, when they become retrograded, they gain a lot more strength and they are good. However, the seventh lord's retrogression is not a great thing from a business partnership perspective, from your relationships and collaboration perspective as well. And you must take heed of this bit. Venus sitting here is going to be giving an aspect towards your Lagna as well. There's a interesting possibility. I said illicit relationships. See, for many of you, there could be a risk. Some of you might see this positive, that old, partners, old relationships that could have come to an end, they might suddenly reappear in your life. But please be watchful, because it is going to bring in old problems as well to the surface. Things will come to a limelight and it can be dangerous. And thereby, I'm giving a specific warning that you have to, of course, this is a transit. Not everybody will be facing these kind of issues, but given that it is a sixth movement, you could get into some serious obstacles, some legal matters, some litigations with your old partners, with your old relationships could come into picture. Now, whilst Venus is getting retrograded on October 3rd itself, the impact of this month would also entail October 31st, when Jupiter, which is going to be in an Atichari movement, and he is going to transit into the sign of Leo in your fifth house, which is the house of romance. It is the house of your investments, stock market strategies, your creativity, your fast life punya. All of that is seen from your fifth house itself. And you see, your ninth lord as well as your 12th lord is Jupiter. Ninth lord is doing 9 places away movement in your fifth house. Bhavat Bhavam is coming into picture. This is especially good for students who are watching this video, who are looking forward to pursue post graduation or even graduation in a foreign land, far away place from your current state of residence or your place of birth. Could come into picture for you folks, because this is where you will get an opportunity express your knowledge. See, the brilliant part that is happening is Jupiter remains, exalted right until before this, which means your expansion in terms of knowledge, in terms of your understanding, in terms of how you are able to decipher and solve problems is coming into picture. But at the same time, it's moving second to itself, which brings the capability of you, bringing into fruition the knowledge that you've gained, the insights that you've developed. Many of you could be graduating and be seeing rewards in terms of wish fulfillment, because Jupiter is giving an aspect towards the 11th house as well. He's giving an aspect towards your ninth as well as the Lagna. So tremendous period in terms of, in terms of your growth, in terms of felicitation of the efforts that you've put in your career, students. So good time coming in from that perspective too. Now, it is because Jupiter happens to be the lord of your 12th house, which means he denotes your expenses. And thereby, this is also going to be an opportune period. You are going to get sort of a teaser of what you're going to see when Jupiter will do a long term transit into your fifth house. And therefore, investments that you make towards cryptocurrencies, stock market, gold for that matter, could be in the right direction. You will have the own right judgment with your own senses, with your own analysis, with your own research that you will be able to bring to the table. So you will be able to leverage the blessings in terms of fifth house coming into picture with your right investments. Now, 12th house also denotes your spirituality, it denotes your um, isolation to a certain extent, but it is more of a deeper awakening, is what I would say. And for people who are looking forward to look inwards, introspect, as I've been calling out, and figure out that what is that I could do different. This is going to be an opportune period for that bit as well. You are going to see an upliftment in your spiritual and your emotional mindset. Remember, Jupiter has come from its sign of exaltation. This is going to be a great period in terms of forging new relationships in your romantic associations. People who are planning for childbirth, this is going to be an interesting video for you to make things happen. But yes, I definitely anticipate that with that Jupiter, movement into the fifth house, and for some people who are not married, Venus becoming retro will give you an opportunity to have your old flame back and maybe work things out in a positive sphere of light. So keep that in mind in the last part of this year. Then comes the grand finale of the year. Now, guys, see, around December 5th, you are going to see the major shift where Rahu is going to be coming into your 10th house in the sign of Capricorn, whilst Ketu will be making its movement from the 5th house towards your 4th house into the sign of Cancer. Now, this may have both positive as well as negative connotations associated with it. First and foremost, Rahu coming into the 10th house, you started your year with a bang with your focus towards karma, finding fruits of your labor, getting your wish fulfillment, or chasing your dreams, desires, goals, objectives. And then you have Rahu placed in the 10th, which is only going to heighten your efforts in terms of, craving for that power, that authority, that adulation from a market standpoint. And Rahu, with that high degree of ambition, that zeal to achieve things, is also going to help you chase all of those, goals. Remember, he's the co-owner of your 11th house, being that of Aquarius, which means that your wish fulfillment lord coming into the 10th house is promising you that you can achieve whatever you desire for the next 1.5 years, as long as you are putting magnanimous amount of efforts in that direction. But at the same time, there is going to be a tricky shift of Ketu coming into the fourth house. When Ketu is in your fourth, there is going to be a 180-degree reflection of that Rahu's shift. Rahu can make you obsessed, obscenely obsessed towards your career, your karma, your efforts that you have to put, and you might choose to neglect everything from a fourth perspective, which means there could be an absolute detachment from a peace of mind perspective, or absolute detachment from a relaxed mental state. This is going to be a hyper drive that you can get into. Now, you may want to see this in a positive or a negative light, is what I leave on to you, but it will also bring in the possibility for many of you to make a shift from your current place of residence. As I said, Rahu's transit into the 10th does give an indication that you could be looking for new career opportunities. Many of you might have new job opportunities coming in your way, or new business opportunities, which might require you to relocate, shift your existing residential setup. Then the other bit is that there is going to be some degree of lack of peace that will also trickle in. The good part is once Jupiter is back along with Ketu, and that is something beyond the realm of 2026, where you will realize that spirituality, kindness, being, helping out others, donating, doing any kind of charitable activities is going to give you a lot of promise of making things positive in your emotional setup too. But Ketu's transit is definitely indicating that there is going to be some sort of a pursuit that you are going to chase outside your home. Then December 11th to 13th is a period where I'll see the final shift coming into picture. Now, this is the time when Saturn will be turning direct in the sign of Pisces. He's been in the retrograde motion right from July 27th, as I was alluding to earlier. And Saturn's direct movement is also going to show that there is going to be that internal review and bounce back. At the same time, Jupiter will be turning retrograde in the sign of Leo itself. So there is going to be a brief pause for you to reevaluate your romantic connections that you've made, your planning that you are doing in terms of your investments and strategies. You might have to just look into it and make sure that you are not hurried in terms of any kind of decision making. Because post that retrograde movement, he will again shift into the sign of Cancer, later into its sign of exaltation. All in all, the Q4 period is also giving you an opportunity to look into your relationships, your connections, whether or not the start that you had in the beginning of the year, can you make a pivot in terms of doing another shift or transformation, a rehaul completely in terms of your career, karma, profession, whatever direction in terms of your social stature that you want to embark upon. So you are starting your year with a high, and you are also reaching the end of the year on a positive high itself, Aries. Well, last but not the least, I would like to call out a couple of remedies that come to my mind, because some of you have requested that, Dave, it is important that you share what sort of a remedy that can be practiced. And guys, many of you who come to my consultation, you see, I don't wear any stones in general. I do keep suggesting people that it is your own inner calling, it is your own inner belief that should drive the kind of remedies that you must do. But especially for people who are going through Sade Sati period for Aries moon sign watching this video, it will be important that you bring in some sort of actions to address Saturn, leveraging Jupiter's benefits coming into this year, and thereby doing any kind of charitable activity for a homeless person, for old age people, going and offering community service for people who are living in old age homes. It is the best remedy. If you want to support people who are blue collared employees in your organization, at your workplace, in your own business, do something positive for them. And the way you can couple it with Jupiter is, what is Jupiter? He likes spiritual activities, he likes education, he likes to see people get abundant. So if you are, say, sponsoring the education of a blue collared person in your vicinity, in your own uh, set up, in your business, at your home, if somebody is coming and serving you and you are supporting their child for their further education, that's an excellent remedy during this period to fix any kind of challenges coming in your life. Supporting the elderly in any shape or form. See, the best effort can be in terms of spending time. That is the most precious thing that God has provided us. But if not that, any kind of monetary support or whatever you feel capable of is also a great thing. The second approach can be much more religious by nature. You could be chanting Saturn's mantras. You could be doing Hanuman Chalisa for that matter, or Bajrang Ban on a regular basis through the course of the year. Donating bananas or even consuming bananas on a regular basis is also an excellent activity to do. All in all, I believe in doing the right positive things with a positive bent of mind. But from a transit perspective, guys, this is all that I wanted to share. There is a lot of clarity that you can gain when you look into your natal understand what sort of an impact you can have from a comprehensive analysis and understanding for the year 2026. Guys, I hope you appreciate the effort that has gone into preparing this video. If you feel that this was worthwhile, I will request you to please put in your comments, share this video with your friends, your community, smash on that like button, subscribe to Dave Astrology, and keep watching.